Good evening, everybody. I want y'all to hear me real good tonight because I came to tell you something that'll change your life if you let it. See, everybody wants to be great. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to walk into a room and people say, that's the one right there. But let me tell you something. Mastery, real undeniable mastery, ain't about talent. It ain't about luck. It ain't about who you know. It's about consistency, discipline, and faith. That's the key. Now, let me break this down because I know some of y'all are still thinking you can shortcut this thing. I used to think the same way. I thought if I'm just good at it, I'll make it. If I just get the right opportunity, I'll blow up. But no, mastery don't work like that. Mastery comes from doing the same thing the right way over and over again, even when nobody's clapping for you, even when you're tired, even when you're frustrated, even when your friends are out having fun and you're at home grinding. See, the problem is most people quit when it gets boring. They quit when it ain't exciting no more. But the real winners, the real masters, they keep going when it ain't fun. They keep showing up when nobody's watching because they understand that repetition is what. You ever seen a master chef cook? They don't just throw stuff in a pan and hope for the best. No, they chop, they measure, they season, they taste, they adjust over and over again. You ever watched a master athlete? They don't just show up on game day and expect to win. They in the gym, in the film room, on the track, doing the same drills 1,000 times. So let me ask you, what are you mastering? Are you mastering your gifts or are you making excuses? Are you putting in the work or are you just waiting for a lucky break? Because, let me tell you, God don't bless lazy. Favor follows effort. Opportunity meets preparation. You got a dream? Good. Now put some discipline behind it. Put some consistency behind it. And when you feel like quitting, remind yourself, the key to mastery is staying committed when the excitement fades. Because when you master something, when you really dedicate yourself to it, life changes, doors open, people take notice. You ain't got to beg for an opportunity because your skill will introduce you before you even open your mouth. So tonight, I need you to stop waiting for perfect conditions, stop waiting for the right moment, and start mastering your craft like your life depends on it. Because, truth be told, it does. Thank you. Everybody loves to talk about talent. People will look at someone successful and say, oh, they were born with it or they got a gift. That's how the world thinks. They assume greatness is something you either have or you don't. But let me tell you the truth. Talent is overrated. Talent might get you in the door, but consistency is what keeps you in the room. Talent might make people notice you for a moment, but consistency is what makes them respect you. Look around at the most successful people in any field. Athletes, musicians, business owners, actors, doctors. None of them got to the top on talent alone. They didn't just wake up one day, roll out of bed, and dominate their industry. No, they put in the work. They showed up every day. They repeated the same process over and over again until mastery became second nature. The problem is, most people don't want to hear that because consistency isn't glamorous, it's not flashy, it doesn't give you quick results. And we live in a world that's obsessed with instant gratification. Everybody wants to win, but nobody wants to do the same thing 1,000 times until it clicks. Everybody wants the rewards, but think about it. How many times have you seen someone start something, get excited for a week, maybe even a month, and then disappear? They start a new workout routine, and for the first few weeks, they're pumped. They got the gym membership, the new shoes, the meal plan. But the moment it gets hard, the moment they don't see instant results, they quit. They tell themselves, maybe this isn't for me. Or maybe it's somebody with a dream to start a business. They got all these ideas, they got the vision, they got the passion, they even take the first step, but when things don't blow up overnight, when the customers don't come rushing in, when they realize success is a process, they lose motivation. They start something else, and then something else. Always looking for the next big thing, never staying consistent with anything long enough to see it grow. See, that's why talent don't mean much without consistency. There are a lot of talented people out there who never make it. You know why? Because they refuse to put in the daily grind. They rely on their natural ability, thinking it'll carry them forever. But talent without consistency is like having a car with no gas. It might look good, but it ain't going anywhere. On the other hand, you take somebody who isn't the most talented, but is consistent, somebody who's willing to show up every single day, willing to do the work even when they don't feel like it, willing to practice the same thing over and over again, they will surpass the naturally gifted person every single time. Take sports, for example. You look at some of the greatest athletes in history, and yes, they had talent, but that's not what made them legends. It was their work ethic. It was their discipline. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, they weren't just good, they were obsessed with getting better. While their competitors were sleeping, they were training. While other people were celebrating small victories, they were back in the gym, repeating the same drills, taking the same shots, running the same plays over and over again. Now, let's talk about music. There are plenty of people who can sing, plenty of people who can rap, but the ones who make it, they are the ones who record, who rehearse, who study their craft every day. They don't just rely on their voice or their natural rhythm, they work at it. That's why you got artists who might not even be the most vocally gifted, but they outwork everybody else and become the biggest names in the industry. The same applies to business. A lot of people have good ideas, a lot of people have a vision for something great, but ideas don't mean nothing if you don't execute them consistently. The most successful entrepreneurs weren't necessarily the smartest. They weren't the ones with the most money starting out. They were the ones who stuck with it, who adjusted when things didn't go as planned, who showed up every single day and put in the effort, even when it wasn't exciting anymore. And let me tell you something, there will be days when you don't feel like it. There will be days when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when it feels like nobody's paying attention. But those are the days that separate the winners from the quitters. Because anybody can show up when it's new and exciting. Anybody can be consistent for a week or two. But the ones who truly master something, the ones who become the best at what they do, they show up even when it's hard. They show up when nobody's watching. They show up when they don't feel motivated. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. But discipline will take you places motivation never could. So let me ask you something. If you say you want something, are you willing to put in the daily work to get it? Are you willing to practice your craft every day, even when you don't see immediate results? Are you willing to do the same thing over and over again until it becomes second nature? Because that's the real test. Most people quit before they ever get a taste of what mastery feels like. They stop right before the breakthrough. They let frustration talk them out of their blessing. But the people who stay consistent, the people who refuse to quit, the people who keep building, those are the ones who make it. Those are the ones who reach the top. Consistency will take you further than talent ever could. Because at the end of the day, talent is just potential. But potential without action is wasted. The hardest part about chasing success isn't the beginning. It's not that first spark of excitement when you decide you want something bigger for yourself. It's not that moment when you say, I'm going to change my life. That part is easy. Anybody can start. Anybody can dream big. Anybody can feel inspired for a little while. But the real test The thing that separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't is whether or not you can keep going when it gets boring. See, people love the beginning of things. They love the rush of something new. They love setting goals and making plans. They love telling everybody what they're about to do. But what happens when the excitement wears off? What happens when it gets repetitive? What happens when you don't feel like doing it anymore? That's where most people tap out. They think, if I don't feel motivated, maybe this isn't for me, and they move on to the next thing. But the truth is, success is built in the moments when nobody's watching. It's built in the boring, quiet, repetitive grind that most people run away from. Anybody can put in work when they're excited. Anybody can be consistent when it's fun. But if you want to be great, if you want to master something, you have to be willing to stay committed when it's no longer entertaining. Look at any person who has ever truly mastered their craft. Look at the athletes, the artists, the entrepreneurs, the top performers in any field. They all have one thing in common. They didn't stop when the work became repetitive. They didn't walk away when they had to do the same drills, the same exercises, the same process over and over again. They understood that mastery is found in repetition. It's not about doing something new every day. It's about doing the same thing better every single day. Think about a world-class boxer. They don't just show up to the gym once in a while, hit the bag a few times, and call it a day. No, they spend years perfecting the same punch. They shadow box the same movements, repeat the same footwork, throw the same jab 1,000 times until it's second nature. And to most people, that looks boring. But to a champion, that's the difference between winning and losing. A musician doesn't become a master by only playing when they feel inspired. They practice their scales, their chords, their techniques every single day, whether they feel like it or not. They run the same drills, play the same notes, sing the same lines until they've perfected their craft. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but that's where mastery is built. The problem is, most people don't have the patience for that. They think if something isn't constantly exciting, it's not worth their time. They get distracted, they chase something new, they look for shortcuts. But the truth is, the real work is in the things nobody sees. It's in the mornings you wake up tired but still put in the effort. It's in the late nights when you'd rather quit but you keep pushing. It's in the days when you don't feel inspired but you show up anyway. Discipline is what keeps you moving forward when motivation disappears. Motivation is temporary. It fades, it comes and goes. But discipline is what keeps you showing up. Discipline is waking up and doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is understanding that repetition is not a punishment, it's a privilege. Every time you do something, you get better. Every time you repeat a skill, it becomes stronger. Every time you practice, you sharpen your edge. The best in the world don't look for excitement in their process. They look for progress. They understand that small improvements over time lead to massive results. But you can't get those results if you quit when it's not fun anymore. Think about this. A runner doesn't train for a marathon by running a new route every day, hoping for a burst of inspiration. No, they run the same course, push through the same fatigue, condition their body to endure the pain so that when race day comes, they're ready. A chef doesn't become great by cooking something different every night and hoping for the best. They perfect the same recipes, learn the same techniques, repeat the same knife skills until they become second nature. It's the repetition that builds confidence. It's the repetition that makes you sharp. It's the repetition that separates the amateurs from the masters. But that's where most people fail. They quit too soon. They say, I'm not seeing results fast enough. They say, this isn't exciting anymore. And instead of pushing through, they stop. They start over with something new, thinking that excitement equals success. But success doesn't come from chasing excitement. It comes from sticking to something long enough to master it. It's easy to be committed when things are fresh. It's easy to be excited in the beginning. But real discipline is tested in the middle, when you've been working at something for months, maybe even years, and you're not sure if it's worth it. That's where most people give up. That's where most people look for an exit. But if you can push through that phase, if you can stay locked in when it's boring, when it's repetitive, when nobody's clapping for you, that's when you level up. That's when you start to see the kind of growth that most people never experience. Mastery isn't about talent. It's about repetition. It's about doing the same thing every day with focus, with intention, with discipline. It's about getting 1% better every day until one day you look up and realize you're operating on a whole different level than the people who quit when it got tough. Most people will never reach their full potential because they only put in effort when they feel like it. They only work when it's convenient. They only grind when the excitement is fresh. But the ones who truly succeed, the ones who rise above, they understand that mastery is built in the unglamorous, repetitive. If you want to be great, if you want to reach your full potential, you have to be willing to do the work when it's not exciting. You have to be willing to show up when nobody's watching. You have to be willing to put in the time, even when progress feels slow. Because at the end of the day, discipline is the key that will unlock everything you're working for. People love to say they're waiting for an opportunity. They sit around hoping that one day the right moment will come knocking on their door. They think if they just stay ready enough, if they just pray on it long enough, something will magically appear. But the truth is, opportunity doesn't come to people who wait. It comes to people who prepare. It comes to people who put in the work before the door ever opens. It comes to people who stay ready so they don't have to get ready. So many people think success is about luck. They see someone winning and say, oh, they got lucky. They assume the person was just in the right place at the right time. But what they don't see is everything that happened before that moment. They don't see the late nights, the early mornings, the years of grinding with no recognition. They don't see the sacrifices, the discipline, the commitment. They don't see the preparation that made them ready for the opportunity when it finally came. See, the truth is, opportunities don't come when you want them to. They come when they come, and when that moment arrives, the question isn't going to be, are you lucky? The question is going to be, are you ready? Because if you're not ready, it doesn't matter how big the opportunity is, you're going to miss it, you're going to fumble it, you're going to waste it. And then you'll be sitting around wondering why nothing ever works out for you. Think about a musician who dreams of getting discovered. They want to be on the big stage. They want the record deal. They want the fans. But are they practicing every day? Are they writing songs when nobody's listening? Are they developing their voice, their style, their confidence? Because one day they might get that one shot. Maybe somebody important walks into the room. Maybe they get invited to perform somewhere big. And if they're not ready, that moment will slip right through their fingers. Think about an athlete who dreams of making it to the pros. Everybody sees the game-winning shot, the big moment on TV, but what they don't see are the thousands of hours spent training. They don't see the practice, the conditioning, the repetitions. They don't see the nights spent shooting jumpers alone in the gym, the early mornings running sprints while everyone else is asleep. Because when the big game comes, when the scouts are watching, it's too late to start preparing. You either put in the work beforehand or you don't. The same thing applies to business. A lot of people want to be successful entrepreneurs. They talk about their ideas. They tell everybody about their dreams. But are they studying their industry? Are they learning about their market? Are they building the skills they need so that when the right opportunity comes, they're ready to take advantage of it? Because if they're just sitting around waiting for a big break, thinking success is going to fall into their lap, they're going to be waiting forever. People love to blame their circumstances. They say, I never got my shot. But the truth is, everybody gets opportunities. They just don't always recognize them because they're too busy complaining about what they don't have. They're too busy making excuses instead of making progress. And even when they do get an opportunity, they're not prepared to handle it, so they let it slip away. Preparation creates opportunity. When you put in the work, when you sharpen your skills, when you stay disciplined, opportunities start showing up where you never expected them. It's not luck, it's not coincidence, it's cause and effect. When you plant the seeds, when you water them, when you take care of them, eventually something grows. But if you never plant the seed in the first place, you can't expect a harvest. Look at the most successful people in the world. They didn't just stumble into greatness. They put in years of preparation so that when the right moment came, they were ready. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for somebody to give them a shot. They prepared like the opportunity was already coming. And because of that, when it finally arrived, they stepped into it with confidence. That's the difference between winners and everybody else. Most people wait to see the opportunity before they start preparing. But the ones who win, they prepare before the opportunity ever shows up. They train before the game. They study before the test. They practice before the performance. So when their moment comes, they don't have to scramble. They don't have to fake it. They don't have to hope for a miracle. They just step into what they've already been preparing for. Think about an actor who dreams of landing a big movie role. If they're serious, they're not waiting for a casting call to start working on their craft. They're in acting classes. They're memorizing monologues. They're practicing every day so that when that audition finally comes, they don't just show up, they own it. Think about a writer who wants to publish a best-selling book. They're not waiting for a publisher to magically appear. They're writing every day, honing their skills, improving their storytelling, so when the opportunity comes to publish, they already have something ready to go. Too many people sit around talking about what they want without doing anything to prepare for it. They want to be rich, but they don't study money. They want to be famous, but they don't work on their craft. They want to be successful, but they don't want to put in the effort. And then they wonder why nothing ever happens for them. But the ones who truly want it, they put in the time. They prepare in silence. They grind when nobody's watching. They study, they practice, they refine their skills. And then one day, when the opportunity finally knocks, they don't hesitate. They don't panic. They step into it like they belong there because they do. Opportunity is not about being in the right place at the right time. It's about being ready when the right time comes. It's about doing the work before anybody asks you to. It's about staying disciplined even when you don't see immediate results. Because when you prepare consistently, the opportunities come. And when they do, you'll be ready to take them.